Now I can't let you get out of here without asking you about Kobe, your experience with Kobe. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about it. And where were you at in your career when you got over there?
So when I got to Kobe, when I played with the Lakers, I was coming off a really good season in Boston. I had just got traded from the Pistons. That was the year the Pistons won it, the year that they beat the
Kobe and
Lakers.
them?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that year, I played with the Pistons up until the trade deadline, and I got traded to Boston. And then when I got to Boston, we were like in the 12th seed, and we ended up making the playoffs and losing to Indiana in the first round.
Okay.
And then that year, I got traded to the Lakers.
Who were some of those guys on that Boston team? Because I can't remember that.
It was myself. It was Paul Pierce.
Okay, Paul was still there?
Antoine was gone. It was myself, Paul Pierce, Mark Blunt, Walter McCarty, Ricky Davis.
Okay. Shout out to Ricky.
You know, those guys.
yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So, we ended up getting beat in the first round of the playoffs, and then over the summer, I ended up getting traded to the Lakers for Gary Payton.
Did you get drafted?
I didn't get drafted.
Okay, so what was that like? So
That was the worst day of my life.
Did you think you were going to get drafted?
I thought I was going to get drafted. Yes, absolutely. Because you got to think now, my senior, going into my senior year, I was on the World USA team. And the team looked like Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Kerry Kittles, Tim Duncan, Othello Harrington, Ed O'Bannon, Charles O'Bannon, Lorenzen Wright, Jason Lawson out of Villanova, Bryant Evans, Jared Haas, and myself.
Chucky Atkins.
And myself. And if I showed you a picture of the list of guys that was on that USA team that year, I was the only guy that didn't get drafted on the whole team.
That's crazy.
So I was like, every practice that we had. So we went to Colorado Springs and tried out. It was the who's who of college basketball. I'm talking about across the board: Duke, North Carolina, Michigan State, Michigan, everybody, Stanford, right? We're sitting there in a gym up in Colorado Springs, and all 29 teams is watching us work out. And I'm playing against Stephon Marbury, I'm playing against Allen Iverson, I'm playing against all these guys in front of the scouts, and I'm holding my own. And then at the end of the camp, we need 12 guys. I'm one of the 12 guys out of the 100 guys that was there.
Whoa.
So that means I'm doing something, right?
Yeah.
Right? So then we leave there and we have training camp at the University of Florida because Lon Kruger was our coach.
Okay.
Right? So I go to the University of Florida, again, all 29 teams there. Now it's condensed to 12 guys. It's me and AI battling every day because he the starter and I'm the backup guy.
Exactly.
So after I left there, we went to gold medal in Japan. Absolutely. I'm going into my senior season thinking I'm one of the top dogs in the country, right? So, but it didn't work out that way, man. And God had a plan.
Did you ever get any feedback as to why you fell out of the draft or anything like that?
I never asked. Honestly, I watched the draft at my grandmother's house with my girlfriend, and when it didn't happen, we jumped in the car and we took off. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I even finished watching the draft. I think we watched the first round, and after the first round, me and her took off, and I think the very next call I got was from Pat Riley asking me to come down to Miami Heat camp, which was like 2 days later, and the rest is history, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I missed that last one. Which camp before you got?
As soon as the draft was over with, is when the summer leagues kind of started.
Yeah.
So the Miami Heat asked me to come down there and work out for those guys. And Pat Riley put on a camp to where it was just grueling, bro. It's like we didn't even touch a basketball for like the first practice. All we did was run.
For real?
Right.
Yeah, that conditioning thing.
Miami Heat.
So I went down there and guys was throwing up and guys was walking off the court and in between the first practice, Pat wouldn't allow you to go to back to your hotel room. He brought out cots and we was laying on the court, sleeping in between practices, and I was like, "The hell is this? Like, is this pro basketball?" So that's kind of, but I understand where he was coming from because he was trying to figure out. Yeah. He was trying to figure out who wanted it and who didn't. So once you get through that and you start understanding, it
was like boot camp.
It was boot camp, but guys weed themselves out.
Yeah, and that's what happened. But you always felt like you was in tip-top shape. Anyway.
I always felt like I belonged. I don't care what it was.
Whatever it
you know
was,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
One of the best things that happened to me throughout the course of my career was, although I didn't get drafted, I had to play against every single body that thought that it was the next guy that was going to make it. So when I had my opportunity, it wasn't a situation of, yeah, man, you might be this or you didn't this, I just and the other. No, bro, I played against everybody. I went to the CBA. This is not the G League. This is the CBA, where you had to get quarter points. Every quarter you had to win. Whatever the team was, you won points. Right? You didn't win. You didn't go. You got 3 or 4 points for winning the game, and every quarter was a point. So every quarter meant something.
Oh, okay.
You felt what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then when I left there, I went to Europe and played over in Europe against David. What's his name? Played at Notre Dame. David Rivers. And Dominique Wilkins. So I'm putting up numbers against those guys, so you can't tell me anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I got my opportunity, it was like, let's go. We rolling. We ready.
How did you get your opportunity in the league?
So I got my opportunity by, they used to always call me when they were thinking about bringing guys in that they were going to draft. So, hey, man, we're getting ready to draft these guys. We got to bring these guys in. They bring all the point guards in. They would bring me in.
Okay.
I felt like this was my opportunity to play in front of the who's who of the Orlando Magic organization.
Right.
And there's no, you don't have to play no role. It's just me against you, and we finna play. And this is my opportunity. So guess what I'm finna do? I'm finna put in some work.
Okay. And eventually, out of that, you got to.
I got it.
Okay. What would you say?
Hold on, man. I got to use the bathroom.
Oh, you do? This whole segment about you now.
We just lost the subject of the
Corona's
segment.
running through.
Oh, that's
Don't
funny.
forget the Ace League.
Yes, by all means. We there. We rolling, baby.
You know what I'm
no
saying?
question.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I did have one quick one, but I'm not gonna play the video. But it's this show that they got out. It's called Hollywood Demons. Y'all heard about that?
No, I ain't watching nothing that says nothing.
No. It's not like that. But it's like young stars in Hollywood. You know how you would have in shows and movies 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds,
and their drug addictions and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and then they turn around and whenever they get older, it's crazy because they turn out to be whatever, like you say, drug addicts or even some are murderers or whatever. And it's just crazy because they're tying it to the early success that they had
for sure
in their film career.
Well, see, here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize about actors and then just society in general. These actors are nothing but human beings pretending to be somebody that they're not for our entertainment.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what, yeah.
Like, really think about what I'm saying there.
Nah,
you never have any self-identity, especially at a young age. If you're an actor, you are playing a character to the point where, for our greatest actors, they immerse themselves so much into a character, they become set character. Yeah. Like, you remember Jamie Foxx from Ray? He literally glued his eyes shut for that movie and had to start developing his other senses. That's a real thing. And that's what was the other guy from that played the Joker, Heath Ledger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they said that he got so immersed in that playing that psychotic role that it started causing him real demons in his real life. So now he's not able to separate reality from who he is.
I think definitely on the adult side. I think on the younger side, it's somewhat different issues because you kind of come up and you get a certain degree of celebrity or fame, and then it's like you kind of age out of what you were at some point. And while you're doing that, you missed all these sort of like benchmark experiences that the rest of us go through, whether it's school, neighborhood friends, developmental stages. And then you have this super crazy identity crisis, and maybe you kind of like fall off and you're not getting jobs, and now you're just going to be a regular kid again, and you're not equipped to do that. And especially like just emotionally, developmentally, it's a crazy, devastating environment to exist in.
No, it is. Chuck,
What's up, buddy?
what is the highlight of your NBA career? What do you look back on and say, "Damn, that was dope"?
The dopest thing that I can say about my NBA career was, one, just meeting the people that I met. You know what I'm saying? Being a fan of the NBA and being out there on the court. I can remember my first NBA game, man, and when I got out there, like, my dad used to bring me shoes when I was in high school, in middle school, right? He brought me a pair of orange and blue quarter top Adidas Patrick Ewins.
I remember them 33 specials.
Right. So one of the first games I played against Patrick Ewing.
Oh,
and
damn.
I'm on the court and I'm going, damn, that's Patrick Ewing, bro. Like, you know how dope that was for me to even think about that. And then you, in the middle of it, it was like, you got to snap out of that, bro, because you competing out here. You got to win, right? So to me, that was one of the dopest things. Being able to do some of the things that I was able to do for my family because of the game of basketball, being able to go places that I probably would have never been able to go because of the game of basketball, being able to be coached by some of the greatest coaches that have ever, coached the game.
Yeah.
To me, man, those experiences are something that I could never duplicate.
Facts.
And you ever experience something that you always want, like man, that was so cool. Like, I want everybody to experience that. Like, that's kind of how I feel about my experience, right?
Yeah.
Man, it was so cool to where, like, when I talk to a little kid, it's like, hey, look, man, like, hey, bro, if you can get this accomplished, you can get this done, bro, you should do it. That's how I feel about it, and I think it's unfair to look at the younger generation of kids and younger generation of players and critique them, although we all do it, but I think it's a hell of an accomplishment for anybody to get to the level that I've reached, and I'm a fan of everybody's. You know what I mean? So to me, that was the dopest thing that happened, and I'll go to the grave saying that.
That's what's up. I got two more for you.
Talk to me.
What's a player in the NBA that gave you problems that a lot of people may not respect like that on that level?
Ooh, bro. Those guys are so good to where you don't have really there's no such thing as an off night, right? Because there's a guy that you never heard of that a lot of people don't know that'll give you the business, right? I played against a guy by the name of Flip Murray.
Flip Murray, that name sound
Right?
real familiar.
Flip
Purdue,
Murray.
wasn't it?
No,
not Purdue.
no. He went to, I think it was Shaw University,
Okay.
right? HBCU.
Shout out to HBCUs.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Unorthodox game, but was cold, right? Andre Miller.
Oh,
Right?
yeah, the professor.
Nobody talks about Andre Miller today.
Nah, not like that. Not like
Bro,
they should.
No.
Bro
Not like they should.
was cold-blooded, man.
Yeah.
Strong.
Great
Had a
vision.
Great vision. Had a huge basketball IQ. Chewed bubblegum the whole time. He playing like he wasn't even interested in the game, but would be out there killing.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then, your quote-unquote off night may be a Charlie Ward,
Shout
right?
out to Charlie.
But Charlie Ward
Going
is,
O's.
cool, calm, collected, composed, ain't gonna give you no idea of when you're getting the best of him, but just solid, professional, gonna kill, right? You can't leave him open. Got a high basketball IQ. Every time you make a mistake, you're gonna pay for it. Like, those guys are the guys that nobody really talks about, but it's definitely appreciated.
Exactly.
Charlie had to be a different beast, though. I mean, to be the Heisman winner
Bro.
in football, but then turn it to be a solid NBA player.
different
But here's another
That's a
here's
different
here's
beast.
another oddity. My freshman year at Florida State, he was the punter.
Bro.
What?
Yeah.
So he was the punter and quarterback?
No, he was a punter as a freshman. There was
Oh.
two other guys before, so he didn't start to his junior year. But like, he was just an athlete, a guy who did
That
stuff.
shows, yeah, that's,
Yeah, just
another,
crazy.
that's another gear there.
Watching him, like,
Oh.
because I was at Florida State pretty much his whole career, and like, he just was one of those guys that the biggest impression I had watching him is he is the type of guy that, like, whatever sport you're playing,
Yeah.
he's just gonna figure out how to be better than you.
Absolutely.
Like, just natural gifts of, poise, athleticism, and just like
but you
could just
have-
figure it out.
You have so many good guys, man. Brevin Knight.
Yeah.
Brevin Knight play defense, and he don't even bend his knees. He's standing straight up. He watching. You got, the list is long, bro.
Yeah, to make it to that level, you're
Yeah.
All
already
those
different,
guys.
Like,
and
you
you're
got-
disciplined.
Yeah.
See, that's the
all
part.
them guys-
That's
all
what
them
I
guys
respect the
bring
most about
something
y'all.
to the table, bro. Like they're gym rats, and that's what a lot of these young kids have to understand. Like, bro, you got to put in a lot of time to be where these guys at. You know, I watch kids these days. The first thing they do is they walk in the gym and they shoot a three. The first shot they shoot when they get in the gym, and I'm like, bro, what you doing? I'm shooting a three. Yeah, bro, you shooting a three. Who you want to be? I want to be Steph Curry, bro. Steph Curry done shot that thing 3 million times. 3 million times.
Literally, like
Right?
literally.
Like he done shot that ball like, literally 3 million times.
In NBA arena,
Right?
since a child.
You just coming in the gym and you shooting the ball 2 or 3 times and they all threes and you ain't even practicing it.
Yeah.
So, guys like Bryce Drew and Steve Nash and John Stockton and, those are the greats, but you got a lot of guys that, bro, you ain't never heard of that's just like cold-blooded.
Will
Yeah.
Bynum was like that. Oh my God.
I hear he was like sneaky
he-
athletic.
No,
like,
it ain't no sneaky.
ain't no sneaky about it.
He'll put it on your head. He'll put it on your
Yeah,
head.
because he ain't number like maybe what 6 foot, 6'1",
Yeah,
6'2",
no, he was
something
number
that.
like 6 foot even. You know what I'm saying? He was a
Yeah.
brother of one of my partners, man, back at school, and he was just a different beast. Yeah,
Will
man.
was
Yeah,
tough,
man.
right?
Yeah, he was different.
I mean, all those guys are so great. And it'd be funny to me a lot of times listening to people talk because people be acting like, oh, man, he trash. Oh, that guy, and I'm like, bro, the last guy on the NBA roster will walk into any gym and set it on fire.
Brian Scalabrine did that, didn't he?
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
get it twisted because a lot of times when you see these guys on these NBA teams, they play roles,
Yeah.
right? But you don't realize that Brian Scalabrine led USC in scoring while he was there,
I didn't know.
right? Patrick Beverly is a cold killer.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
averaged
man, I
like
heard
30 back in
38
high
points
school.
in
that.
high
I
school.
heard that.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it.
Yeah,
I didn't believe
Right?
it, but
Right?
I heard
These
that.
guys be killers, bro.
Yeah.
But they get on
Chicago,
NBA teams.
too.
They get on NBA teams and they figure it out. Hey
Yeah.
man, listen man, they paying him to score. They paying him to do this. How can I stay around? Oh, I gotta play defense. All right, so that's what I do.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, and that's how they earn their living.
And that's how they earn
Smart
their
on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I can't let you get out of here without asking you about Kobe, your
Okay.
experience with Kobe.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about it. And where were you at in your career when you got over there?
So when I got to Kobe, when I played with the Lakers, I was coming off a really good season in Boston. I had just got traded from the Pistons. That was the year the Pistons won it, the year that they beat the
Kobe and
Lakers.
them?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that year, I played with the Pistons up until the trade deadline, and I got traded to Boston. And then when I got to Boston, we were like in the 12th seed, and we ended up making the playoffs and losing to Indiana in the first round.
Okay.
And then that year, I got traded to the Lakers.
Who were some of those guys on that Boston team? Because I can't remember that.
It was
back then.
myself. It was Paul Pierce.
Okay,
Was
Paul was
Antoine
still,
there?
Paul was still there.
Antoine was gone.
He
It
was
was
gone.
myself, Paul Pierce, Mark Blunt, Walter McCarty, Ricky Davis.
Okay.
Okay.
Shout out to Ricky.
Those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So, we ended up getting beat in the first round of the playoffs, and then over the summer, I ended up getting traded to the Lakers for Gary Payton. And
After that, they fell
right,
short.
they just lost, right?
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so, me and Kobe had our little run in during the course of the year that year. It really wasn't no run in. It was just, two competitors competing, and talking trash to each other, and then I ended up getting traded to the Lakers. So
That's how crazy the NBA is.
right.
Right.
So I ended up walking into the weight room thinking, I didn't know what he was gonna say. And he was lifting weights, with his trainer, and he was like, "Hey, bro, welcome to the Lakers. Like, that's what's up." And then I remember the first day we had training camp in San Diego, me and him was sitting out in the foyer talking, and he was telling me stuff about, his goals as a player, and we ended up having a team meet, and then me and him jumped in his car and went to PF Chang's in San Diego and sat down and ate and had a good time. And he was interesting guy. And as I got more and more in tune and got to know him more, he was a savant, a basketball player at heart, extremely intelligent individual, and a killer. You know what I'm saying? Everything that people said about him was true. A lot of it was kind of misconstrued in a way because, you know, one thing about Kobe was when he was laid back in an atmosphere like this right here, he was really, really cool. You know, when cameras came on, he turned into character. He became the Mamba.
Okay.
Right? And, you know, he was driven by being the best, which, you know, most greats are.
Facts.
So that was never in question. I think with him, you got to understand, I played with him the first year he had played without Shaq. So
that was the first year without Shaq?
That was the first year he had played.
That's that 05 season,
right? So that was the first year that he had played without Shaq. So I think he was learning a lot from being a guy who didn't necessarily have to say much to being that leader that he eventually became.
Gotcha.
So that was the Kobe that I had played with. You know, I can't speak to, you know, when I was with him, we and him were close. We talked a lot. We spoke to each other a lot. I sat in the seat in front of him. He always sat in the very back of the bus. I sat right in front of him, and we had a cool relationship, man.
Oh, that's what's up. That constitutes as that story that I was talking about.
Right.
That's it.
So that's
a great one.
That was my relationship with him. And one thing that I always respected about him was if you put in the work, he respected you.
Yeah.
Right. He never talked down on nobody if you was putting in the work. But also on the other hand, if you didn't put in the work, you're gonna feel the wrath.
I had a question for you that you don't have to answer, and I hate that I have to preference it like that.
Okay.
But why did he hate Smush Parker so much?
I don't know, and I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Because I wasn't in Smush's in his shoes. So I can't speak to that. That's a big question you have to ask him. But as far as my relationship with him,
yeah,
you know, we always had dialogue with each other. We always spoke. I mean, if you look at the pictures on Getty Images of me and him, we would sit next to each other. Yeah. You know, he got pictures of him hugging me. Like, that was my man. Yeah. You know, and to the point to where even I had a relationship with him even when I wasn't on the Lakers team. I remember playing in Memphis, and he had 50 points. And he was on a roll for 50-point games.
Oh, that was one. Okay.
Right. And I called him. I was like, bro, I said, bro, you on a roll, what you going to do? He's like, if the jump shot falling, they gonna get 50 tomorrow too. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, me and him had a cool relationship, and that was my guy. Like, to this day, like I said, man, I think that he's number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
Behind LeBron, I got you.
No, behind Michael. So, you know.